So for our project, we decided to focus on fisheries biology, and we decided to talk to Dr. Farmer, an assistant professor in fisheries ecology at Clemson. In this interview, we talked to Dr. Farmer about his education, his research, and ways to become involved in fisheries management and biology.
So could you explain what you do at Clemson and what your career entails?
Sure. So at Clemson, I'm an assistant professor of fisheries ecology, and I basically kind of work at the interface between fisheries management and fisheries ecology. So a lot of the work my students and I conduct is trying to understand more about the ecology of fish species to improve management. And so we have projects ongoing that look at habitat use in estuarine fish communities. We have a project just starting up that's looking at fish passage structure in coastal rivers to understand how fish navigate these kind of man-made structures, either successfully or unsuccessfully. And then we have another project that's focusing on physiological effects of climate change as things get warmer and fish have to adapt to different environments. So kind of a broad range of things, but all focused on understanding ecology and physiology to improve management.
And what inspired you to do that career?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think like most of us in this field, grew up being outdoors and enjoying being outside and thinking I want to do something like that. As an undergrad, I went into a fisheries program at Auburn University, which has a big department that's just fisheries, which is kind of unusual for a university. Most programs are like ours, where it's wildlife, fish biology together. But Auburn has this big historical fish program. And I kind of went in there not certain if I wanted to do fish stuff or wildlife. I just took a shot, and I got in there as an undergrad and started getting involved in research. And it was kind of late, maybe my junior year, that I started getting involved. And then senior year, I had a little project. And it was enough that I felt confident that I wanted to work a little bit and learn more. And so I worked for a couple of years after school and then decided I wanted to go back to grad school in that area.
So like speaking of research, now you're involved in a lot of projects. Like what determines what you do? Like how do you decide?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because there's like more questions than you can ever answer. I mean, there's a lot of potential research projects out there. In reality, a lot of it gets decided by sort of where the funding is at that time, what agencies are looking to fund, what are the big questions they're trying to ask. So while I have kind of my key interests that are pretty broad, I try to work on problems that are somewhat applied, but also have a neat ecological aspect and that involve understanding the ecology of these systems. What really determines it is sort of, talking with managers, figuring out what are the questions in this system that y'all are dealing with, especially being new here in South Carolina, kind of living in a new part of the country. There's been a lot of that over the past couple of years of just trying to learn the people who are working in the systems, learn the systems, and figure out, where are the questions that are sort of those points where if we had more knowledge, we could manage these resources better. So a lot of it's kind of driven by that, of figuring out what the problems are and how we address them, and look for funding to bring in money to conduct that work.
So what advice do you have for students in ENR and wildlife and fisheries?
Yeah, I would say in your undergrad, get as diverse an experience as possible. I think that's really some of the most valuable experience for your undergrad is trying to work. If you think you're interested in an area, try and get some experience either through a CI, which is, I'm sure all y'all know, a great experience at Clemson. And one of the things I really enjoyed, one of the many things I've enjoyed about Clemson is the CI program and how involved it is and supportive it is of research. So I'd say getting as diverse an experience as you can in research and trying to get, because there's a lot you won't get from a classroom environment. And that'll just, one, it'll give you experience to let you know, okay, do I like that sort of work? Is that something I want to pursue? And two, it boosts your CV and your resume so that when you go in for jobs or go to grad school, you've got that real research experience. So I guess that'd be my biggest piece of advice.
So any other general just recommendations for us to start out undergrad and continuing to grad school?
Yeah, I would say the field is, aside from just getting a diverse experience as possible, if you can get some actual, like working on CI is one thing, and getting the experience of just helping out in the lab, but a lot of CIs will allow you to kind of go that extra mile and take on a small project. So if you can get a small project that you can actually be involved in data analysis and kind of writing up to that as a poster, or even as a poster's great, you can present at a meeting, that looks great on a CV. It gives you some experience of like analyzing data, kind of seeing it collected, seeing it entered and organized and then analyzed all the way through to results. I think that just getting experience in that process is super valuable. It's kind of like a mini grad school. It's what you'd be doing as a grad student. And then if you can publish it, then that makes it even better. Then you can get a publication out in your undergrad and make you more competitive. Just because you already have that experience of going through the peer review process. So I'd say, aside from CI, just trying to, and it takes a lot. Like it's not easy. I took on a senior project my senior year, and I was swamped with it because you have all these classes you're trying to take, and you want to do well, and then you got this big project on the side. So, I think good grades is the first thing, but if you can, time management-wise, take on a small research project and kind of bring that to fruition, is even a poster is really valuable for research experience if you're thinking for grad school. I know when I look at grad student applications, it's one of the first things I look at. It's like, okay, they've got good grades, but they have any real research experience. Like, you can volunteer, and that sort of sets you apart. But then the next step is you've really been involved in an independent project and with a mentor. You've kind of already worked through some data analysis and have some research experiences. Kind of the next group that sets you apart.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it sounds good. All right. Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so
Other
much.
questions?
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So we got our job from USA Jobs, and it is a fish biologist for the Department of the Interior. For this job, you're supposed to develop strategies in collaboration with other agencies and organizations to address fisheries and aquatic species research and conservation issues. You're supposed to manage and monitor specific fisheries and marine services by researching, budget, and developing funding priorities. You also prepare communication materials to support and advocate for fisheries and research in front of congressional staff and committees, typically in hopes to enact a change. Again, this job is employed by the U.S. Department of the Interior, and this specific one is located out of Virginia. It pays between $117,000 to $152,000 a year, and it is a full-time permanent position. They look for volunteer experience as well as previous job experience, and they evaluate you on scientific knowledge, interpersonal communication, program and project management, leadership and supervision, teamwork, and written communication skills.
So, different ways Clemson undergraduate students could gain the skills, qualifications, and experience that would make you a competitive applicant for this position would be obtaining an American Fisheries Society certification through taking the 4 fish courses that Clemson University has to offer. By doing this, you are AFS certified by the time you graduate college, which is beneficial because more agencies are requiring job applicants to be AFS certified. Another way that Clemson undergraduate students can become more competitive applicants for positions would be creative inquiries, especially in fisheries. So undergrad students can do more work as a technician, which would include data entry and analyzing both larval and egg measurements. Another thing would be to processing fish, which includes weighing and measuring caught fish, extracting and weighing gonads, and removing scales and measuring otoliths. Another way you could, more skills that you could get in creative inquiries would be researching and presenting posters at conferences, and often fish care, which includes feeding fish and testing water quality of fish. As a graduate student, you can also potentially lead a CI course, which you would have undergraduate students, which would also give you more experience and help you better qualify for a position.
In addition to creative inquiries, you can potentially participate in outside internships with agencies to add experience levels and connections with other organizations.